Aloha everyone, this is Soraya Letournel, your Big Island real estate guide. Today we're going to talk about why live on the west side of the Big Island. I think there is a little bit, when you're starting your search, of questions, west side versus the east side, what it's really like to live there. So today we're going to dive into that, and I'm going to tell you my experience and the pros and cons of living on the west side of the island specifically. So what does the west side really mean? To me, the west side means all the way from Kona Paradise neighborhood, all the way up to Hawaii, Waimea area. Anything outside of that, if it's southern, that's South Kona to me. That would be like Ocean View, Milili'i, Naalehu, that's the south side. And the east side would be for me from Honoka'a all the way down to Puna. That's the east side. So based on that, since we're just looking from Kona Paradise to Waimea area, you don't have to worry about lava zones. Your lava zones are going to be between 3, 4, 7, 9, and up. So just take that out of your language. Don't even try to worry about it. Lava zones are not an issue in that area. The reason why you don't really care about lava zones is because you're not going to have to worry about your insurance. You're not going to be worried about flooding. You're not going to be worried about getting lending for your home. If you live in the other parts of the island, I recommend looking into the lava zones, the flood zone, and then seeing if your home is able to get a mortgage. But if you're looking on the west side, don't even worry about it. Okay, the west side, in my opinion, is nicer than the east side. I think the east side is really cute. It's very charming. It has a jungly feel. It's a small town. It's a little bit older, and so that's why you have all of these cuteness to it, but the skies are really gray, and on the west side you don't really get that. It's very bright. You'll get a little bit of that jungle feel, and we'll get into that, but it's more like sunny, has nicer beaches. It's just a better place to be, trust me. Okay, if you live on the Kona side, you're usually going to be between 10 and 40 minutes from a really, really nice beach. That can be Hapuna, that can be Kiki Ponds, that can be Kua Bay. And as you go south, you have darker sand beaches that are also available, like Two Step is one of them. It's one of the best places to do snorkeling. There's a lot available if you are more of a beach goer on the west side than there would be on the east side. I personally moved to Hawaii to do outdoor activities, and that's why the west side was really nice for me, because you could be outdoors for about 270 days out of the year. It's always going to be sunny, no gray skies, no rain. If you really like fishing, the west side is a perfect place for you, because the Big Island is made up of 5 different volcanoes, and that means that it gets really deep really quickly. If you lived in a place more like Florida or California where you did fishing there, you usually have to get quite a ways out on your boat to hit the right depth and find the right fish. On the Big Island, you don't have to do that. Within 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, depending on how north you want to go, you can find the fish right there. In fact, I had a friend yesterday who did ocean trip that was organized by one of the local companies, and the sperm whales were out. They saw dolphins, they saw marlins. Like, you can see dolphins too, like by their boat, and they swam with all of them. So it's really, really wonderful. If you like fishing, if you like marine life, it's a great place to be. I used to be a triathlete when I used to live in Texas, and so what drew me and my husband to the Big Island is that the Big Island is the birthplace of triathlon, which means that it's made for running right on the Li'i Drive or the Energy Lab if you're really brave. It's really hot over there. It also has killer cycling trails or roads that you can go onto. I dare you to do Napo'opo'o down and then back up. It's super hard, but there's great cycling that's very challenging, but there's also cycling that is made for more of a leisurely ride where tons of room. It's really paved because of the Ironman Championship, and there's a big cycling community on the island, so that's something to keep in mind if you're really interested in that kind of hobby. There's a ton to do here that I don't think is as available on the east side, because it doesn't have quite the safety factor that you have here on the west side. The only downside of being a triathlete or a racer in the Big Island is that you do have to travel quite a bit. There's not that many races here. We have the Honu, we have the Lava Man, we have Ironman. Cycling is different, there's a bunch of them. But if you like doing triathlon, you probably will have to travel to California, so that's something to keep in mind. It is a direct flight, but your bike will be in and out of your bag, and that's sometimes a little bit dicey. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if you're an avid hiker, there's a lot to do too on the west side of the island. I have friends who hike around Waipio Valley, Mauna Kea, Pu'uwa'awa'a, which is the crater, or even in town, you can hike around Kua Bay, and there's tons of trails along the shore. The only thing is it does get old after a while. A lot of hikers, they want to go high up is the feedback that I'm getting, and feel cooler. I don't think you get quite that experience when you're on the Big Island. You'll have a lot of mosquitoes, or it'll get really, really cold. So different in Mauna Kea, of course. The weather just changes so quickly. But so that's just something to keep in mind. It'll be a very different experience than you've had in California. But there's tons of trails if you're interested in hiking. There's a lot of nicer things on the west coast of the Big Island. We have a Waikoloa resort area, which has high-end restaurants, high-end experiences that you can do through all of these high-end hotels. They have the nicer beaches. And I say that lovingly, and it really is a true statement because of the lava zoning, the flood zoning, and the fact that it has all these nicer beaches. Big companies were willing to invest more in that area, and it shows through the Hilton, through the Four Seasons, through the Mauna Kea Hotel. And so these are all things that you can really experience when you're on the West Coast, especially if you like high-end golfing I don't know anything about golfing, but I know that there are some famous guys that made golf courses there, and so people will fly to come and see those, and that's something that you can have access to when you live on the West Coast, but not so much on the East Coast. Okay, so on the west side, there's tons of surfing spots. The only thing about it is that you have to be really aware of where the lava rocks are and really think about your surroundings, make a plan. I know it's very dangerous because the waves crash and then a lot of rocks are right there and it's not that deep. But we do have a lot of surfing spots. Banyans is one of them, Lyman's, Old Day, Pine Trees. There's a bunch of spots, and of course surfers usually have their secret spot, so you'll have to get your own and know where that is. On the East Coast, the way I understand it, because I don't surf, is that it gets deeper much faster. And so surfing is more fun over there, but you have to worry about getting taken away into the ocean a little bit more than you would on the West Coast. But I don't really know, I don't surf. So I hope this helps you understand what it's like to live on the west side of the Big Island versus the east side. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment about something that you disagree about, or and I love the east side, you guys. I'm not a hater. I'll do another video on why you want to live there. But I just prefer the west side, and that's why I'm talking about this. Please subscribe, and then you'll get a notification for all the future videos. Aloha!